Hello everybody, Dokkan Assets here. Today we are back with another community response video. As you can see here, this is a little bit of a dicey one if I do say so myself. Listen, bro, I love what you guys hear. I love what you guys hear. I mean, I guess I love what you guys have to say. I love hearing what you guys have to say about current trending topics in the Dokkan community. And unfortunately, this one was just too easy, bro. Sometimes I try and, brainstorm a little bit of like super big brain topics for community responses. Obviously, some of them come easy, but this one came too easy, bro. I think anybody who watches these videos probably could have assumed that this one would have been made into a community response video. So we're going to talk about the current state of global. Keep in mind that a lot has developed in the time of the past 2 days that has kind of added fuel to the fire on this discussion. Obviously, this discussion has kind of been a hot topic in the community for a little while now, but I think with everything that's just happened with global recently, it's just brought even more issues to light, and not just that, finally just breaking some people down. So let's go ahead and get into it. Obviously, we're going to have a couple of goofy and short responses here, right? Of course, T-Tash saying, play Dragalia, you lost first. Yes, the Dragalia simp, of course. My boy Soap saying they're trying the best that they can, so on and so forth. Well, we do have some pretty thoughtful responses here, but we'll go through them. Play more JP. If it wasn't for all the money I spent on it, I would have switched. There's no reason for us to stuff on global the way they do. Wait, I'm confused if he means telling other people to do that or if he does. Waiting for the 6th anniversary. Yeah, that honestly, even though this is such a short comment, I feel like that'll be a big telling factor of global's future, how they handle the anniversary. Because if they flub up something with that, ooh, that is not going to be good. Bandai Nikatsuki has no clue how to manage global Dokkan, always withholding content and banishing them to oblivion. Keep in mind, okay, so we also have the tweet under it, which actually kind of goes to my point. It feels like the global devs are confused and don't know what to do. They keep making decisions that are stupid, outlandish, and nonsensical, even though the community vocalized their distaste for it, like they're not listening on feedback or paying attention. Interestingly enough, I don't know if a lot of people know this, because I don't think that it's a well-known fact, but I learned about this a while ago, that the global dev team is literally only like 5 people, and they're basically just like 5 members from the JP team who were brought over to, work on global, essentially. So it's not a big squad of people running this huge thing. I also learned the other day that apparently they're also located in Taiwan, which is really interesting. That one kind of surprised me, considering I would think that they would be in Japan since it's a Japanese gacha game, but quite interesting if I do say so myself. On regards to confused and don't know what to do, I don't know if I would say that. I think a lot of the problems come from at the moment when they push back content, which funny enough the next tweet is sort of about that. But I think with other things that definitely more so applies. It definitely doesn't seem like they know how to manage the game. I mean, especially with not just in game but even outside of the game. Recently we had the whole thing where obviously the new units didn't get tweeted out until after the banner went up, which is absolutely insane, because obviously that's never happened before. And of course, the whole point of tweeting out the unit essays and, tweeting out what the units do and stuff like that, the whole point of that is to get people excited and hyped up to pull the units, not posting that after. Because then it's like, well, what's the point? You could just go look at it in game. Obviously, maybe people who didn't know or don't follow anything else but literally the in-game news, and I suppose the Twitter account maybe wouldn't know, but I feel like if you follow the Twitter account, surely you follow some people in the community, you know what I mean? I don't know. Very interesting though. We'll kind of touch on that as we go on a little bit more for sure. Kura says if it wasn't clear enough with the previous outings, the fact that they either forgot or pushed forward the Super Saiyan 4 EZAs show they don't care about the state of the game as long as it keeps making them money. I mean, even with the EZAs added, Global went from having 2 events to do for the entire month to 2 events to do for 2 weeks until we get the EZA. There's no logical reason for them to hold contact back in something that has a That, oh, I see. Okay, okay. I misread what he's trying to say there. Holy cow, this is a ton. Okay. And this is coming right after Dual Dokkan Fest with Jinema and PyCon. Even if people didn't summon, the majority still do discounts, leaving almost no stones. The people saying we should be grateful for having ESBR, it's months late. Because we finally have it, that doesn't make it good. And those are the same people saying, why do you care if we get ESBR if the majority can't even do it? Those people are now saying that an event that a majority of the player base can't beat is content. The banner changes are neat, but the banners aren't content and don't justify BS that has been happening. Either way, people are still buying stones regardless. I'm just wasting my breath here. At the time of typing this, you can do 3 things. Beat Infinite Dragon Ball History, which is possible for most people, ESBR, which isn't, and the new Dokkan Fest stages. That is it. As much as I dislike Global First, I would have taken that any day over a forced dual release. I'm likely a minority who's gotten tired of this. Holy cow. Okay, so let me dissect this a little bit, because obviously this is a lot to take in. So with this, I can definitely agree. Obviously, I don't know if it's only because of the Super Saiyan 4 EZA situation that is shown. I mean, clearly not, considering this whole thread here. But I think that definitely does show that. It's interesting to me, though, because the one thing that isn't factored in with the Super Saiyan 4 specifically is that obviously, instead of it either being a mistake, right? Oh no, I guess he does say pushed forward, right? So no, that does apply what I was going to say, which would be like they heard the backlash and they were like, okay, we need to push it forward, right? Okay. With the EZAs added, yeah, I mean, no, that makes sense. And the other thing is too, that is really unfortunate about this, which I will say we'll kind of get into here, but also I think I don't know if he means Dual Dokkan Fest. No, he definitely means for the banners. Okay, no, I'll say what I was going to say later. And this is coming right after Dual Dokkan Fest. Yeah, that is also really, really unfortunate and a huge big problem, I feel like, for Global right now, that they have kind of set themselves up in a really bad position in terms of banners. Because not only did they just get PyCon and Janemba, right? Now Golden Week is right after that, and then basically after that, like a month or two afterwards, so basically like in terms of main banners or Dokkan Fest banners, a banner or two after this one is going to be the anniversary, right? And that's just obscene. 3 dual Dokkan Fests in a row. And I think the other problem is, like, it wouldn't be as much of a problem. It would still be a big deal, but it wouldn't be as much of an issue if they gave out more stones. Because I think the problem as well with not having enough content, which I completely agree with, yeah, the problem is too, they don't give out enough stones for you to either, you know, justify spending on all these banners, or they don't give out enough stones just in general, you know, for you to be able to, like, keep up with the game, basically. You know, obviously, they don't give out enough stones for you to guaranteed get the unit. Of course, that's not what I'm saying, but a reasonable amount, right? And it's also really unfortunate that not only are these banners so good that, like, I can't even really blame anybody for summoning on them before the anniversary. PyCon and Janema's banners are obviously infinitely worse than these banners are, and the fact that they literally, like, drained it with the Dual Dokkan Fest, and then they're having this right after, and then the anniversary is just, ooh, that's an L, bro. Saying that we should be grateful for having ESPR, it's months late. So that one, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, only because, I mean, I'm glad that Global obviously got it, even though it is late. I don't think that, you know, like, I don't think that necessarily devalues the event. That is one thing that I do see a lot in the community, which I think is really unfortunate. And I think it's only a certain, like, group of people, because, like, most of the people that I see talking about it, I don't think this way. But, like, I know that there's a lot of people who play Global that feel like because we got the content late, it doesn't matter anymore, or more so, like, they complain that something is coming late, right? When, like, they see it on JP and then it doesn't come to Global. And then when they get it, they still complain that, I don't know, like, either it's irrelevant now or they just complain about the next thing being late. Like, I think it's a double-edged sword in this case. I need to take a drink of water. I'm sure you can hear me smacking away here. I think it's a little bit of a double-edged sword because, like, I don't know. It's hard to say because obviously if all the complaining in the world hasn't changed anything by now, then I don't know if anything will change. But at the same time, I still can't really blame people in some regards. Obviously, some people are really toxic about it, and that's no good. But, you know, obviously since the game is late in terms of like when the content releases, that should be correct. But I think the problem is, at least for me, I think the problem more entails with this example is when like it's like actually late, like, you know, because it should be like a couple months afterward, like how the quote-unquote schedule is. But when it's like really late, then obviously that's a big problem, right? And ESBR is a good example of that. Just because you finally got it doesn't make it good, and those are the same people saying, why do you care if we get it, they can't do it. Those people are now saying that the event that a majority of people can't beat is content. So I don't know. I kind of disagree with that too. I don't know if I would necessarily say that the majority of people can't beat it. That is a little bit of a tough cookie because it's hard to judge everybody's accounts, you know what I mean? And it's hard to judge where people at in the game, or where people are in the game, excuse me. Obviously, if you are a new player, then of course you're not going to be able to beat that. And even if you've had your account developed for a little while, but I mean, it is definitely more of end game content, which I do see what you're getting at though. Like, if you don't have most of these units, you're not really going to be able to beat it. And I think in that regard, this applies where it's not really content, but at the same time, it is made as a mode for people who have all of these units, because it's made for people who, like, all the other easier content in the game is done for them. You know what I mean? I feel like this is another, like, double-sided coin here. Banner changes are neat, but banners aren't content, excuse me. And don't justify the BS that's happening. That I agree with as well. People are buying stones. Yeah, that is another thing that I will say that is kind of unfortunate with this situation, right? Is that, like, you can speak with your wallet if you don't like the situation, right? Where it's like, oh, I don't like the decisions that they're making, so I'm not going to spend on this game. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I can kind of, I don't know if it's sympathize or empathize in this specific situation. Like, I know what they both mean, but in terms, like, in relation to me, how I feel, like, about that, because I feel like I sympathize and empathize with those people a little bit, that, like, you still want to get the new units and you still want to mess with them, but at the same time you still don't want to support that kind of behavior. I don't know. Again, it's very double-sided here. Infinite Dragon Ball history, which is possible. ESBR isn't a new Dokkan Festation. Okay, I think we've gotten through everything here. Kuro, thank you so much for your super long comment, my boy. I appreciate it. Russian Spy says, it's fallen very short of the mark of the last few months. My hope is that version Z puts both games on the same timeline somehow. I don't know if version Z will necessarily be the point of contention for that, but I do hope that version Z, I don't know. I don't think that it's going to come on both versions, because they literally they said in that Dokkan live stream a little while ago that it wasn't going to be on both versions, but I don't know. We'll have to see. Old man, thank you. Just frustrating. It's either a lack of understanding and communication, or they really don't care about global. Probably a mix of both. I'm happy we're getting the Super Saiyan 40Zs, though. Gotta take this as a win. We can get them. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It is like, I don't know. I would really like to know if it is like lack of communication, or if it is just like, you know, the meme where it's like, oh, you know, it's like when every company that a group of people supports does something bad, you know, we'll just input, right, you know, global players. Oh, you know, those brainwashed global players will buy anything. You know, I don't know if it's as maniacal as that, but it would be interesting to see their mindset for sure. Just Mark says it could be a lot better. You need to stop delaying content, just add more content to the existing modes more often. Most fun I have in Dokkan is SBR, because I use units and teams, so I don't use a lot of time. The rewards are great. Okay, nice. Hataru, I think is your name. Global is in a bind right now that Bandai doesn't know what to do. Global has a path plan out, but keeps messing up. Now JP over here has nothing planned for the future until they see its time, and they're doing fine. Don't know why Global keeps getting the short end of the stick. It's a mess, just put them together already. So that's having a great time. I'm gonna like that response, that's funny. So This is another thing that I did want to touch on in this video, because I feel like that this is a big point with this whole situation. I don't know if the versions should be merged together, right? Because, so this could be a whole video in and of its own. Maybe I will do that. Instead of completely getting into it in this video, maybe I'll do another community response video talking about the advantages and disadvantages of merging the versions, because I would definitely like to hear what you guys have to think on that. I know I definitely have a lot of opinions on that, because I think that there's a whole slew of reasons that it could be a really good thing, and I think there's a whole slew of reasons that it could be a really bad thing. So let me know in the comments if you do want to see me do that. I'm sure that I'll probably do it anyhow. But regardless, I think the TLDR for now is basically like, they would have to pull some major shenanigans to be able to get both versions to catch up. At the current state, that's hard to do, because there is still some content that, you know, they've held back, and other things that they haven't released yet. And there's also the topic of like anniversaries and specific celebrations that happen because of the version that it is, as well as a couple other factors. But yeah, I think we'll get into that in a separate video, because that could be a lot of different things. It's very sad that we got GT Goku and Vegeta before the anniversary, but I will never regret summoning on this banner. Yeah, I missed some of the easy A's that comes with JP. Rough start before the devs go in damage control by dropping the easy A's. Yeah, that is what a lot of people I think are definitely thinking. I may or may not be partially in that boat too. If I haven't spent money and a 2-year, if I hadn't spent money and a 2 years in this game, I would switch to JP. I know that is a lot of people's like kind of opinion about this, is that it's hard for them to switch versions, because of course they spent all of their time, effort, and most importantly the moolah on the one version of the game, right? And I know a lot of people have been considering switching. It is really hard to justify it, especially when your account is so built on one version. I definitely understand that. Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a hard call to do, especially since you would have to kind of build up from the ground up again on the new version. Corto says JP's the first on global is the becomes yikes. Tickets and discounts carry. That is another thing that I do agree. Also, by the way, hello Dan. But that is another thing that I think Global definitely has as a dub over JP. Of course, with the tickets and discounts, that's something that JP never gets. And the anniversary tickets are kind of something a little bit different, right? We're talking about the way that Global handles the tickets on Dokkan Fest banners, right? Specifically. So that is definitely a dub for Global. But I don't know. It's kind of, again, like this double-sided shenanigan where it's like, I almost feel like it's good for global players and it incentivizes summoning a little bit more, but at the same time, at least with how the versions are now, it's almost like, oh well, you know, you can summon on the global version even though things are bad right now because there's tickets. Obviously that's not the original intention, but I don't know. You know what I mean? There's no excuse for not dropping them on global. Okay, so this was before that happened. I'm literally contemplating switching to JP. If it wasn't for my current box, it would have. I don't understand what's the disconnect between Akatsuki and our community. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just need to, like, interact with the community more and get some more people that understand the global player base, because they do a fine job on JP. We can definitely tell that. But it is a little bit weird to me because, like, sometimes they do a good job when they do these surveys and things like that. And I mean, we even know that sometimes, you know, they keep an eye on the community. From community response, I don't mean like the videos, I mean like, you know, things that get fixed because of what the community does. And we've also known that members of the Akatsuki team have visited the Dokkan record, or the Dokkan record before, the Dokkan Reddit before. That is on record. That's what I meant to say. Thank you. So I don't know. They definitely have their nose in the community a little bit, but if they haven't like done more to fix it by now, it kind of leads me to believe they don't care. I don't know. It's definitely very hard to say, right? They made a weird decision, and most of the time it's a bad one. I just cannot understand how JP Dokkan is having the best year so far. Meanwhile, Global is having shaft after shaft. Garbage. Thank you for your insightful comment. I appreciate it nonetheless. We'll always be the worst version until they catch up. Global's been taking huge L's lately. Honestly, wish Akatsuki would treat him virtually. Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Honestly, I haven't been playing this game on Global for nearly 6 years. I'd bail and go to JP. It's just really disheartening to see Global treated as an afterthought after these years of playing and supporting it. Yeah. Wow. Actually, I'm kind of surprised to see this many comments about switching versions. I didn't actually expect there to be that many. But yeah, I mean, I definitely feel for you guys. I wish that there was an easier answer to that question, because it really is just like time and money versus like, you know, that you've already put in and feeling like you'd be abandoning it versus like, you know, better treatment but having to start all over again basically. I've been playing for just under 500 days. I've completed every event in the game, and the only fun content is SVR, which I've beaten all of. During the week, I can grind old free-to-play units. That's it. The only consistent content we get are new units. This is a good image. Thank you. I don't play Global Dokkan. I just find it funny to see which thing they're going to mess up when some of the mistakes are pretty easy to fix. They just don't fix them like the SVR stages. Yeah. Just keep the games apart. Only worldwide should be shared. Honestly, Global First should go too. This is an interesting take. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that Global First should go. I will say, because that also is a whole nother can of worms. I do think, though, that I actually agree with the worldwide only being one. Only because, for one, right, it kind of devalues the worldwide celebration having other celebrations that are joint, right? They could still keep it, but then they have to make it like a big celebration for a different reason, you know what I mean? Because especially if they're gonna be doing stuff like this, where literally Global gets half the content that JP does, I don't know about all that, bro. I don't know about all that. I don't think that that's the way to do it for sure. And they didn't even advertise this as a global or a Golden Week rather celebration. This is just a normal celebration for Global, which I think is criminal considering that this is supposed to be a very big celebration on JP. I can't watch that, unfortunately, because copyright, but thank you for your comment. Other than insight on the banners, for the most part, tickets and discounts, there's zero reason to not just play JP. I can understand playing Global for a long time and not wanting to start it over again, but it really is worth it. It's Global, that's for sure. Naruto Blazing is more live than Global right now. Oof. Worse than Legends ever is. Oof, as well. It's not good. If I didn't have 1,300 days logged in on Global, I'd switch to JP. I don't know what Global is doing in 2021, but they need to fix it. Global Dokkan looking like GT Legends a few months ago. Oof. Please catch up. Crying. I feel you, bro. What is this? Deception. Legend players without story. Dokkan players. Wow. I see. What an interesting combination there. I see. Dookie, bro. Yeah, I don't know. Ooh, okay, so here we're getting into some more meat. I was looking for some more comments like this before we closed out here. At this point, unless you're like me and are years deep, why would you play Global Dokkan? Delayed content, shafting players out of new units and game modes, maintenances that are far too long to consistently, far more monetization, and weaker top grossing rewards. On top of all that, Akatsuki just doesn't care. If he and everyone else, oh, I think he meant me. If me and everyone else behind the game, oh no, is he referencing Mr. Akatsuki, bro, the meme I always make? Then why do we have an unplayable mess for 7 days? Why is Global been trash heap for almost a year? Why is it even when there's hope Global seems to get shafted? Why can't Global get the same treatment as JP? At this point, question how anybody thinks JP isn't the better version. Also, every reason to play Global is non-existent and counterproductive, as after I get 1000 Day Goku, I feel I'm finished playing the game. Sorry for making this long rant. Dokkan for me has been going downhill, mostly due to Global being treated so badly. At this point, I wouldn't be shocked if we didn't hit top grossing on banners anymore. Including the anniversary, even Buchigiri, a dead game, has more to it than Global Dokkan. Rip Buchigiri, one off. Thank you for bringing that up. I miss Buchigiri match so much. One of my favorite gacha games of all time for sure. But, wow, this is a lot. I can definitely, like, and I understand being this angry about it, right? Because the thing is, like, I feel that this is definitely a case of not just like we were saying before, time and money, right? And you don't want to, like, I don't know, lose something that you feel like you've put so much into, but I feel like it's also when something is your passion like that, right? You don't want to give it up, or you don't want it to change for the worse. Like whenever you see one of your favorite things changing into something that you don't like, or making bad decisions, or going down a path where it leads to you not enjoying it anymore, that is always a hard thing to go through and experience, especially if you feel like that is something that gives you comfort outside of the world's, you know, crazy shenanigans, excuse me. So I definitely can understand being this angry. While I don't agree with, you know, maybe necessarily everything that you said, for the most part, I definitely agree with this. It is like, I think, well, actually, probably the only thing that I don't agree with is probably just the maintenances. I mean, that's just kind of, it is what it is. But the rest of it, I do think that I agree with. Although, maybe far more monetization. I mean, JP did just get the subscription service. But I don't know. I guess with the ticket packs and all the other stuff on the Pilaf's Trove, I think that that's probably makes it lean a little bit more on the global side for far more monetization. But yeah, no, I can definitely understand your frustration here, and I'm sorry that you are, because it's terrible. The insight, tickets and discounts simply do not make up for how the past 8 months or so have been. It's completely unacceptable that they thought an 8-month-old that they thought an 8-month-old event was enough for the celebration. Then they added the news as damage control. It's getting to the point even people like Rush are saying switch to JP. It's that bad. Yeah, I know that people have been saying that. Again, it's that whole dilemma, man. It's really been dry for like the past 2 months. I don't care how the Golden Week celebration was pushed up and barely got anything that JP did. I'm glad we are at least getting Super Saiyan Force, but kind of global tired, excuse me, of global pushing stuff up for duels. We barely get any content in it. Yeah, I don't know. Funny enough, I almost feel like as I'm reading through this, I'm being more converted to the camp of merging the versions low-key. But then at the same time, like, if they keep up, if they get the same amount of content, I don't know, then it's really a question of, like, I guess you could still play either version, but I guess it would just be which one you would get more free stones on. It's dumb. There's no need for both versions to be on the same time, or there's no need for both versions to be on the same timeline. What we need is the same thing releasing on both versions on joint celebrations. Oh, okay, so he's saying to merge the versions. Gotcha. Otherwise, there's no point in timely communication, not this waiting a week garbage for a response. Yeah, I'm sure that the whole thing with the oh my gosh, now the name of the specific thing is fading me. Oh, the whole item glitch and all of that shenanigans that happened where Global was like dead for a whole week, basically. It was broken, right? I am sure put a lot of people off, and I think was only fuel into this giant fire that is Global right now, considering everything that's going on. I think that right there is not just a like really big red flag, but also an example of how Akatsuki, I think, just like doesn't really listen to the community, which I know a lot of people really feel like that right now, considering everything that's happened. And a lot of people feel like the reason the Super Saiyan Force came was because of the backlash, which isn't really listening, it's just, I guess, caving, right? And I suppose to our benefit, but still. Anyhow, though, that is going to do it for today's community response video. Thank you guys so much for your thoughts. A lot of insightful things in here. A lot of great discussion. All that good stuff. I very much so appreciate you guys always going ham on these, because I love hearing what you guys have to say and dissecting it. I think I will make that video about the pros and cons of merging the versions, because I do want to hear what you guys have to say. And I really want to see if there's anything that I haven't really thought of before that somebody would bring up and be like, oh, that's a good idea. Anyway, though, if you did not get to comment on this tweet, definitely leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And of course, follow me on Twitter if you want to participate in stuff like this in the future. I'll catch you guys in the next one, though. Thank you so much for watching. Dokkan Assets out. Peace.